Hello, everyone. This is Melissa G. Wilson, and I have the great honor of having not only somebody who is above and beyond any any one leader. You have to have lots of leaders together to equal Stephen DeGroot. He's a force. He's a friend. He's a fighter to the end. I also like to to
You
put
like
Ryan
threes
there,
and alliterations. Me too. That's awesome.
don't you? So, without further ado, I want to get into uh, really understanding and sharing with people just how wonderful what Stephen has done and now has put it into a book. It just took at least 3 years
Yeah, yeah.
and
I'd
lots
say
of
five
patience.
before we met. Yeah.
Yeah.
30 years to build, 15 to validate, and five to write. Yeah, it was a long process for sure.
Thank you. Thank you for being so exact with that too. So let's start with what matters most for people to get when they think of getting to better, which is a great title. And by the way, people think this is just some mirage, a digital mirage, but it isn't. I have the book. I don't have one signed yet because it's
That's
costly to send books from
in
Canada.
person. Yeah, yeah, yeah. In person, Melissa.
Yes.
I like to sign it from the heart in person, right? So,
Oh, yes,
so
yes,
you
but to
know,
at
that's
least have this in my hands
yeah,
and
yeah.
know that it's here is worthwhile. So welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Melissa. That's such a great introduction. A force, a friend, a fighter. I'm like thinking, did my mom call ahead and give you some? Tell you, she's a big
No,
fan
but
as well.
she
But
might
thank you.
now.
Yeah, yeah,
She
she might
might
now.
now.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I I
Yeah.
like our conversations. I like hanging out. I'm glad we did this book together. And yeah, let's. I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk about things that matter to you and to me, but more importantly, for the people I wrote the book for, because writing for me is not easy. Sitting
Yeah.
down in one spot, like people that know me, I don't stop moving. My head doesn't stop racing. So to sit
Oh,
down and
that's what this is all about. Yeah,
yeah,
it's go
right.
back and forth. That's so true, and we could go into the whole power of movement for creating things, and that makes a lot of sense. What I wanna do, though, is start with a statement that you make. I love it when I'll make a statement and you'll go, "No, no, no, Melissa, it's this." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Okay."
I sound like a terrible person
No, no,
because you have
it
such
was
great
really
ideas.
good. This one's
Yeah.
really, really good. So
Okay.
this is number 1, which is not thought leaders, but practice leaders. And I'm like,
Wow.
"Bam, that's very different, very different."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think thought leadership to me has become clickbait wisdom.
Mhm,
I think there's a lot of thoughts out there and a lot of great ideas. There's some brilliant minds out there, but I'm all about moving the needle. I'm all about making,
mhm,
simple, practical, actionable. Like every day should be a spa day, right? SPA, simple, practical,
mhm.
actionable. And, we have lots of thought leaders, which are great. It's now time for practice leaders.
I
Like you
love
can
it.
look around the world, it's hurting. People are more burnt out than ever. We know more about humans than ever yet. We're
Mhm.
not doing as well by most measures. So it's time to practice, practice, practice. We need to change how we feel, change how we think, but more importantly, change how we behave to get the outcomes that we desire, both individually, collectively, at work, but more importantly, at home in our lives. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of home, I have to profess, that one of my favorite shows is, I and I'm sure you'll be, "Oh, yes, of course," um, is all about home. There was and it's a Hallmark show, and
Right.
it's called The Way Home, and I'm not sure if it was shot in Canada or not, but I absolutely loved it. I love time travel, and they kept going back to different families. It was the same root structure, but
Right.
they got to meet their great, great, great grandparents and so forth. And it showed me that what I have been doing, even without planning it, is seeing that what people want more of are books like yours.
Okay.
they give so much direction. I like to say direction and protection because you're
Oh
also
yeah.
about
Oh,
kindness
huge.
and caring and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Connection, direction, and protection, right? So,
Yes, yes,
what connects us, right? The things that connect
yes.
us, the things that direct us together, that guide us, that give us predictability. And by virtue of connecting and directing, we are protected. We protect each other, right?
Yay, because
Individually
that's
and
been something
collectively.
I've been saying for a long time, and you just
Yeah.
better, which you
Yeah.
keep
Well,
doing.
what I like to do, like on top of what we're just talking about, Melissa, is it's a great thought. Like that would be a thought leadership idea, right? Connection, direction, protection. Where I like to go is show people how to do it, like actually
Yes,
practically connect,
yes.
direct, protect each other, whether it's in the classroom, the boardroom, or the living room. And that's what makes this book
Mhm,
so accessible, is because it's for any human that it
mhm,
gets up in the morning determined and committed to making the lives of other people better.
mhm.
That's what it's about, right? Practice, practice, practice. Yeah,
It is, and it's so important. Full disclosure, for me, as I get anxious a lot now, with an overwhelm with content, and I
right.
want to be so much more, but you still have to be, follow your human abilities to be humane and
Yeah,
caring and give the direction. So what I've done, which you know about, is I've actually shrunk my connection group that I'm focused
right,
on right now.
right.
So by having your book out, it's very much of a leader of other books that are very, very, powerful. So
Right.
having your I think you said something like 21 years of this and 15 years of something
Yeah.
else, of work, but I
Yeah.
definitely remember the 5 the 5 years
5 of writing.
of
Yeah.
moving
Yeah.
along and moving along,
Yeah.
but always knowing that your promise that you made, actually not to me, but to everyone,
Yeah.
was that you're getting ready, and now this is you've actually moved forward on doing what my whole life has been about, which is truly making a difference. And
Yeah.
I go back to the practice leader.
Yeah.
So give people an overview of what that looks like on any one Stephen DeCrute day.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny because I have been doing the work long before the book. I was encouraged to write the book because my company Brivia, but also our interventions in all the companies I've worked with, we have
Mm,
a high success rate, and I'm proud to say that we exceed. We have an NPS of 99.7 across thousands of people. Like it's unheard of. It's almost unbelievable. Just like how
wow,
many authors you've helped, right? It's like wow, that's
wow,
astronomical. And
yeah.
so I've been doing the work for the I was did a conference a couple of weeks ago, and this director of this massive program came up to me and he goes, "This sounds really good. How come I haven't heard of you?" And I looked at him, I said, because I've been doing the frickin' work, man. Like I literally have done
That's so
everything I
good.
say I do. Like I'm not my issue with some thought leaders is they've never ever done the work. They've never, like,
Yeah,
you've got the nun timers and the ton timers, and that's a continuum. Like the nun timers, got a great thought. They wrote a book and people try it out and it doesn't work because they don't know that they've never really tried it. Right. I'm a
ah,
ton timer. Like I've done this stuff tons of times every
oh,
day,
a
day in and
ton
out
timer. Yes, I
with
love it.
because you got one timer, you got none timers, one timers, some timers, and ton timers. All right, we won't get into the continuum, but they all you move from thought to practice, right? And
Yeah.
the reality is so getting to better is really about that. Is about validating and affirming
Mm,
what people are already doing well, because we don't hear
mhm.
what we're doing well. We often hear where we've screwed up, what's
It's
missing,
true.
what's wrong with us, what's wrong with everything, and
Yes.
and validating and affirming that, and also challenging people not only to validate and affirm what they're doing well, but to get them to think a little bit differently, get them to feel a little bit differently. And once they think and feel differently, they start to move differently, right?
Ah,
And getting to better is about that. It's about challenging
mhm.
people to rethink things like motivation. I take on three big things in the book. I try to evolve psychological safety beyond what it really is to the three great states, right? I
Mm, mm.
challenge what we think we know about motivation and high performance. And I thought, why not go for it? Why not rethink resilience? Right? Like,
Yeah,
why not? I don't want to leave that one untouched. So it really is
no,
about rethinking what we think we know about things, right?
Mm,
And really being honest about, is this serving us? Right. And
mhm.
one of the things, Melissa, I like to, you've heard me say, a lot of people think resilience is perseverance. And I say, well, hey, have you ever been in a relationship or a job a little bit too long that really didn't serve you? And everybody goes, oh yeah, totally. Right. It's like, that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm like, I don't think so. I think there's some things that really hurt us, clip our wings, or maim us for a long time. And I think in one of the things I do in the book is make it simple. Perseverance
Mhm.
is about getting through something longer, and resilience is about getting through something stronger. That it's through that perseverance where there's learning, adaptation,
Mhm.
and some sort of growth, right? Just simple. Let's
Mhm.
simplify it and let's move on, right? and
Mhm.
and that's what I try to do in the book, is to give people some tangible ways of thinking, in a way that they can start building their own resilience, or changing their own motivation, or really just looking at their relationships, Melissa, and going, I don't think this is serving me, but now I know why. And
Mm.
now I can do something about it. Right. And that's
Mhm.
what the book is really about in a nutshell.
So I know when I first connected with you that you told a story about going into a prison and walking through death row, and that got me watching Touched by an Angel for all the 5 or 7 years of episodes,
Right.
and they had elements in the show, or things in the show that were similar, and it was so real when you shared that
Right.
you were shaking hands with everyone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I felt
Mm.
like I had come along with you, and I was seeing things very, very differently, and that was
Yeah.
quite a beginning
Yeah.
to
Well, a
tap
lot of those people
into. Yeah.
haven't been touched, right? When you think about connection,
Yeah.
people aren't
Oh,
open to
yeah.
people aren't open to being directed unless they feel that they're connected. Right.
Mm.
And if you try to direct somebody, provide connection or direction without connection, you're gonna get disrespect. It's a new term, right?
I
And here's
love
the thing. I was told I worked with gang members, I worked with people, very
Yes.
violent people. And I was told the first time I was in a federal penitentiary not to shake somebody's hands through the bar. And I just said I had to. Like, it was worth the risk for me. Like, I wanted to connect. I didn't want to stand there staring at them, be another person, one of 200 people that came to see them. That was a counselor or a psychologist or something, right? And the other thing I used to do is when I started working with gang members, right? I
Mhm.
thought, how do I touch them? Right now, you have to understand, physical consensual touch is critical. And you think about some of these guys, they hadn't been touched for a long time. They've been in secure isolation. Even they're not allowed to be touched by their caregivers. So one of the things I did is I learned magic tricks. So the first thing I did was I learned how to do coin tricks, where I can ask them to hold their hand open, and I would put a coin and I would hold their hand like this, right? And they wouldn't even know it, but I was creating what I call in the book the three great states, keeping them safe,
Mhm.
helping them feel significant. And by teaching them something new, I was giving them some kind of direction. And I was very predictable in my movement. So it created this level of safety. And on a fun note, I would sometimes call ahead and take these silly bets and say, hey, I'm on my way to see so and so. And they're like, yeah, I got full approval, permission. Um, what do you think the chances are that I'm going to hold, Javier's hand in the first hour while I'm there? And they're like, this guy will not hold your hand. And I'm like, yeah, I think he will. And then halfway through the magic trick, while I'm holding Javier's hand, I'm like, I look over at the guy I called, and he's like just shaking his head, going, I cannot believe you're sitting that close, and smiling, and having a genuine human connection, right?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to hear gang members say, when I leave is, "Are you coming back? Will
Oh,
you be
wow.
back?" And sometimes I could, and sometimes I couldn't. But I would say, hey, what difference did this make for you? And if I wasn't coming back, I would say, these are the moments you have to look for.
Mm.
These are the things you need to look for in people. And it was very rewarding. I mean, I wish I could do more, but connection. I don't just say it as a bumper sticker. I think human connection is the key to accessing and activating our God-given potential, right?
Yeah, that what you just said was, I would call it, like, meteoric. You Through all our conversations, and we had, it feels like, hundreds of them, this is such oh, a big, big thing, and I since the last 2 years, I had my brother-in-law pass quickly, but through a lot
Oh,
of
I'm sorry.
pain,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
doorstep of heaven, and then the next year, my aunt, who was more like my mother, um, puts you up close and personal with what
Yeah.
are we doing that
Yeah.
could be done better, and
Yeah.
when one connects with you, and I do love the word, obviously, as the whole thing around networking is that powerful connection. You taking it to such a beautiful set of places and being
Hmm.
able to give people not just hope of some kind, but something deep and very, um, it's very it's beyond heart-centered. It's like being part of the family,
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
that you're part of something
Yeah. Well,
versus
that
so
that yeah.
disconnected.
Oh my gosh. I, I I think it's worse than disconnected. I think we're disintegrated.
Oh,
Right? I
wow.
think, like, as
Mhm.
humans, like, the algorithm on the picture on the book, I mean, it goes deeper than, this
Yes.
book was just, like, the first get it out
Yeah.
there in a way that's simple and makes sense, but the core algorithm, it's actually one of the most comprehensive social psychological models on human betterment. Like, I'm a
Mm.
recovering academic, and this whole thing is
Recovering.
around,
Yeah.
like, that. If you look at the bright light, if you hold up the cover for a second, Melissa,
Mm.
of the
Mhm.
book, what
Mm.
people don't know is there is a bright light emanating from the center of the algorithm, and
Mm.
that's the human spirit.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, we can get caught up in things like the three great states and connection, clarity, control, and the different dimensions, right?
Mm.
The importance of relationships and co-regulation and resilience. But the reality is, we're protecting the human spirit. Like, this is what that's why when we do certain exercises with my company and people are like, oh my gosh, what just happened to me? That interview was unbelievable. Do you remember when we did that brief core interview, Melissa?
Yes.
It was like 6 minutes, and you felt that
Yes.
powerful internal core
Yes.
experience, right? In
Yes.
under 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
And I don't get into that in the book, but the reality is, when you create the three great states where you feel connection, a sense of
Mhm.
clarity, and that personal sense of agency, which is control, and you feel it's like the ultimate containment of human safety, it
Mm.
allows your spirit to come
Mhm.
through. Right. And I
Mhm.
think that's what was happening with the gang members is, some of them would get teary, but of course they would want to show that. And some of them would say, like, I've never felt like this. And it would be a little bit startling. And I
Mhm.
think it's they're feeling their core for the first time. For a moment they can stop protecting themselves. For a moment they can stop
Mhm.
looking over their shoulder. For a moment they can stop questioning, is this guy here to take advantage of me? And in that moment, feel themselves, feel their spirit for maybe
Mhm.
the first time or the first time in a very long time. And that's how deep this goes. So we can talk about motivation and resilience and all that kind of stuff, but
Mhm.
it's like, the core algorithm is like this beautiful car. You don't need to know what's under the hood. You
Mhm.
just need to know where the key goes.
I love that. There's everything that you do is not what I've seen before. And I'm also looking again at the promise, which is the
Right?
subtitle, a new model for elevating human potential at work and in life. The
Yeah.
thing that I am so happy that I've gotten to with the authors who are, looking at, well, what's next? How do we even do more? I mean, really double down on going to the next and the next and the next level.
Yeah.
And this connection into life
Hmm.
where so much, like, for example, on LinkedIn, which I was there when it first started, just 80 people in the room where I got to go, and I just still remember that. I would say taking that moment in 2002, taking now where we are in 2026, and it's like I'd like to say it this way, we had a lot of things that we've gone through and developed
Right.
but this is up here. This is a different place. And it helps you feel um, much more part of possibility
Yeah,
of
yeah.
what
Oh, there
could
you
be
go. Yeah,
done. Yeah.
yeah. Well, your potential, when you feel your human spirit,
Mhm.
it's overwhelming. Like it's got a power that is indescribable, right? And most of us, people go their whole lives with it. We've called it different things: inspiration, meaning, fulfillment. We've even watered it down to satisfaction,
Mhm.
in the workplace. Even we've called it motivation, but the reality is it's a part of us that's at our core, right?
Yes.
And when it's activated, when it's accessed and activated, it's got a power where you
Mhm.
feel, in the book, I call it the signature of resilience. And everybody has felt it on a small level. And
I
that's
like
when you
that.
feel three things.
Mhm.
You feel confident, you feel capable, and you feel calm, regardless of what's going on around you. Some people feel it in a moment. Some people can feel it and conjure it up and create it,
Mhm.
based on their own sense of resilience. But that's part of our spirit. It's built to bend, not to break, right? And
Mhm.
it has a power that gives
Beautiful.
us the kind of confidence that, we really feel like we can do anything. And imagine surrounding yourself with more people that can
Mhm.
access and activate that level of confidence and that level of capability. You really would be unstoppable. And I think that's what I'm really excited about as
Mhm.
I work with different groups, from children's
Mhm.
mental health to surgeons across my fine country to F-35 pilots and gang members, right? Teachers, like, all of these folks have a universal truth, which is they're all humans,
Mhm.
and they all have a prepackaged potential. And for most of them, even the high performance hasn't been activated yet fully. And that's what I'm excited about, because this goes beyond the clickbait, cheapskate kind of overpromised, underdelivered, where, because it's got so much genuineness in it, and it
Mhm.
really is connecting with the human aspects from the right places, the potential is unimaginable.
Well, I know that it took, a very, very long and robust looking at putting this book together so that it held the kind of energy that could open all these different places where you're
Yeah.
going. Tell us about your hope, like coming up on, what's next. We are in summer.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
headed to fall and beyond. What does it look like for your hope, not just for the book, but for actually getting in front of different rooms of people
Yeah.
and really changing the environment to a place that really does have resilience and community and connection and direction and
Yeah.
protection.
Yeah, well, I love working with people. And by the way, speaking of taking so long to write this, thank you for your patience and your support, because this was not a straight shot by any means, right? It's a dynamic, complex,
Yeah.
process that we engaged in. Yeah, no, my hope, I have an interesting perspective on hope. Once again, there's nothing that I'm very, very rarely, um reinforce what are commonplace ideas about certain things. I think hope is a byproduct, actually. I
Mm,
think that hope is a result of action, that we've evidence of better, that we've either seen or
mhm,
that we can project in some way. I
mm,
think that, because a lot of people like hope, there's a lot of writers out there now talking about how important hope is important, don't get me wrong, but hope is something you need when action is gone. That's, you know what I mean? Like, have
mm,
hope, right? Like,
yeah,
or how about if we saw leaders acting in a way that was congruent with their values? How about we were promised something, not
mm,
overpromise and underdeliver? How about we experience people being kind, not to take advantage of us, but just for the sake of being kind? We don't need hope in those situations,
mm,
right? Right?
mhm, yeah,
Right? But hope grows the more we get hurt, the more we get let down, the more that, right? Do you know what I mean? It's, for a while, it's like, well, let's
mm,
hope it's better next time. Let's hope.
mm,
Well, what's that hope based on? That hope is based on either actions that we saw that were good, or a lack of them that were good.
mm,
And so what I like to promote, and where I'm going, is to create a space where there's no need for hope. Now think about that. This is a bit antithetical to what a lot of people are saying. Because if we don't need hope, this is not faith. We have faith. I have faith. You have faith.
Mhm.
Right? See, when I have faith, I don't need hope. That's different. Now, for people who don't have faith, they need
That's
hope,
right. That's a very, 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 very,
right?
very good point. I
Right?
do
So
want
this is
to
where,
know.
and
Yeah.
Melissa, this is where I live. I live in on
Yes,
the ground about questioning the things that people throw around all the time, where
that
we have
is
to
what you
stop
do.
and say, can we
Yeah.
just talk about what you just, like I tell people, here's my thing on skeptics, right? I
Yes.
meet people all the time and I get excited. You know me, I'm like, even keeping my energy down now. I get
Yeah.
excited and people they're a little bit leery of that. They're like, what's this guy trying to sell us? Like, why is he so excited?
Mm,
And I say to people often,
yeah.
I respect your skepticism. I say,
Mm,
hold on to your skepticism
yeah.
until I give you a reason to let it go, because our
Like that.
skepticism is
Mm.
protectionism. Our
Oh,
skepticism is there because we've been hurt before, let down. And
well,
and so I don't want people to give up their skepticism. If I say this is going to be great and they say I don't think so, I'm not going to let it hurt my feelings. I'm going to let it drive me in the most respectful way
mm,
to help them understand that they might have a reason to let go of that skepticism this time. And I respect that. And the last thing I say with them is, hey, I
mhm.
respect the skeptic, but don't let the skeptic become septic, because that's a problem.
You
Right?
have
That
so
moves
many
into
beautiful
pessimism and a
lines.
whole bunch of other problems.
It is.
Right.
I wanted to tell you that, I'm not touting this book. It's an older book. It's got 49 stories,
Yeah,
but
that's okay.
I woke up one day, Angels in the Workplace, and I forget which book this was in the 10 traditionally published books that I did, but this was the favorite of my, at that time, my publisher and Cedric Crocker, who looked like, and he's still around. He looked like James Taylor, and we always used to get together and say, "What's next?" I'm just validating you here because when it came in to me to do this book with all these interviews, it was the idea of faith, hope,
Right.
charity, courage, truth, trust, and love.
Oh, beautiful
And
thing.
yeah,
All beautiful
yeah.
principles and values. Yes.
But your hope piece, this was post 9/11, and I had a
Mm.
group of women from Loyola, from the college, and I was having everybody, I don't know, 100 people get into groups where the faith group, the hope, the this, that.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
only group that wasn't present, that nobody went into or formed, was hope.
Mm.
And, it's just one of those, well, what might that mean? But you give so much, um, you lay groundwork for people to, this is what's coming to me, and I do like to just let it happen,
Yeah,
but
let it
for
rip. Let it rip.
me for me, it's like you're not, when I work with authors, 175 so far, it's an arduous task. Now, it was arduous for you too,
Oh
but
yeah, I'm
but
hard
you
to
keep
hold.
creating golden staircases. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying. So
Right.
that you can climb up to a place and bring people along and help them move forward and out, and also pay it forward,
Yeah.
right?
Oh my gosh. My One of my favorite things to do is free work. One of my, I do,
Mhm,
people think that F-35 pilots are sexy and gang members are sexy and surgeons are sexy. But my love has always been helping children and helping people who help
mhm.
children, right? And it's
Yeah.
the number one thing I love to do. So the more, and that's what's behind, the book and behind Brivia too, is the more business we develop on the business end, the more books that get out there. Privy is about reach, and getting to better is about revenue, and getting to better is about reach. I
Mm.
want to reach more people who are out there, asking the worst question at the wrong time. What's wrong with me? And why can't I do this? And give them a fresh perspective and
Mm.
validate that there's nothing wrong with them. There's way more right with them. And so, I that staircase thing, Melissa, it's interesting because they are just perspectives, right? And I have
Yeah.
the advantage of working with some big thinkers again, some future Nobel Prize winners, some past ones, and what's really refreshing about them is they're starting to question where the theory lets them down, where we
Mm.
have these theories that have never really worked out in practice, and we've often blamed a system or certain people or projects, and now it's really refreshing because we're questioning the words that they used and what did they really mean, like whether it was hope or deep learning or resilience or, and it's like, let's stop. What are we really talking about? Because I'm a firm believer of saying you cannot leave a place unless you arrive. And
That's a
sometimes I
great,
don't think we've arrived. We're trying to leave a place that we've never arrived. Like this
yeah,
idea of getting out of the box. I'm like, you know something? How about we get back in the box and
yeah.
finish what we started? Right?
Mhm,
This idea to pursue innovation and to extend is, to me, has watered down the level of integrity and the comprehensiveness of the things that we need to help us. And
I
it's
love
that simple. I love finding people that are
mhm,
tired of this and saying, let's do it. And so for some of these academics, they've got to take the big risk
mhm,
of, and one did last week say, I screwed up the model a little bit. And
mhm.
you know how hard that is after like 30 plus years of developing a model to say, I I think I screwed it up a little bit. There's there's not a lot of
I think
people
I
in the
screwed it
world,
up a little.
right? Because that's
Yeah,
not good for book
yeah,
sales when you say that out loud, right? And but the pursuit isn't about book sales. The
it
pursuit
is.
is about who's on the receiving end of
Yes.
this model that we said worked and we promised would make things better.
I love it. And so I'm creating something at the moment for I want to call it a simple challenge. Open a spot in the book and just read a paragraph. What I keep seeing is that inside these books are the pearls, and that everybody's waiting for that. And the other developed opportunity that I would love to see you do, because I've been studying so much about the human connection, AKA what I'd call networlding,
Right.
to connect with people. And your book has all these pearls in there.
It's so
And
it's so
yeah,
packed. I
yeah,
even forget
just
what's in it now.
open one. You get to,
People call me.
yeah.
Would you like me to do that now? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying? Oh my goodness.
just one
Oh my
paragraph,
goodness.
just to
Okay.
show people
Okay.
no
All right.
matter
Okay.
where you start,
Oh
there
my
it,
goodness.
it
Okay. All
okay.
right. Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I just opened it up, so I'm gonna have to read it, right?
Yeah,
And I've got these moments in the page. So it says,
yeah.
sometimes things work for us, sometimes they don't, and that's okay.
Mhm.
Right. And then on the other page, right across from it says, what works for some may not work for others, and that's okay. And this section of the book is really about people, like, this scary idea, like, what if memory foam forgets or comfort food doesn't comfort? Like, how terrifying. And I think a lot of people,
Yeah,
sometimes someone will say, you'll have this experience. People say, they'll send you a quote and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing quote. It's the best quote I ever heard, Melissa. And they send it, and you read it and you're like, like you feel nothing, right?
yeah,
And sometimes
yeah,
we think that going to the
yes.
gym this day is going to feel the best. And what I talk about in this section is like, cut yourself some slack. Sometimes things work for us or other people and they don't. And it doesn't mean there's something
Mhm.
wrong with us. It means whatever is happening in that moment isn't aligned with our core four. And
Love
once we
it.
understand that, we stop beating ourselves up and we start
Yeah,
choosing things that work for us. Yeah. So,
yeah.
oh, that was neat. Yeah, there's a lot of little surprises in the book too that I
It
love. I say to
is.
people, like, I can't wait till you get to this part because it's so full of
Yes.
stuff. I wanted everyone reading it to connect to a different section. Because I always say,
Mhm.
if you find everybody, 10 people talking about a book and they're like, oh my gosh, we love
Mhm.
chapter 7. I think you should have just wrote chapter 7 then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like whereas I wanted people to find different parts of the book,
Yes.
to connect with and give them something that was meaningful, valuable, and immediately actionable in
Yeah.
some way for them. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you do that continuously, and I feel very, very, very strongly that you should be reading segments from different parts of the book continuously. You
Wow. I've
you
heard
are
that before. Do people want to hear me reading a book? I mean,
yes,
maybe if I
yes.
can get some.
Yes, even a short amount, because that's the gift, is everything in the book when you're not there,
Right.
and they can watch it, they can go and look, they can read more. I wanna do one, okay?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so nervous.
Now,
All right.
um, this is cool. So, actually, this is a story, and it's called, which I love the title of the chapter, What the Stuck.
What the stuck? Yeah, I wanted to use another
And
word, but you know.
I'm actually not going to read too much of it because I want people to go get the book and read it just to
Okay.
show them the magic's in here. And I shouldn't say magic, the love, the attention, the action that you took, the forward movement. So this
Yeah.
is just the beginning, a different boy, a different story, Kyle and the stupid meetings. And I will read just the first paragraph, and that will be it. I won't get into all the details of my first interaction with Kyle. However, I will tell you that I worked with Kara. Kara is different, to set up an outing that led to the creation of the three great states. This was essential to hear Kyle's story and his truth so that we could access his core four. Getting to better with Kyle required that we learn as much as possible about his perspective and his experiences, especially with respect to his unique needs, values, goals, and strengths. Given the overwhelmingly negative nature of this situation and the potential for volatility, keeping things positive and productive was critical. Now I'm going to stop there, but I'm going to mark it for myself and
Yeah. Yeah.
reread the rest because I was there when it happened to go through every
Yeah.
chapter. But
Yeah.
now it's coming alive. Now it's becoming a tool that you've passed on that can take with them and I want to say, which I don't care, God willing, they get to go one of your events and actually experience it firsthand. I think I've had at least 30 chills since we started.
Well, you know, I got a chill there. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a bit emotional. Um, that choice to use Kyle, a real boy, one of the most difficult cases ever, and I apply it to everybody. So at the end of that chapter, you know, there's a section called "Why is Kyle's story our story?" And whether
Mm,
you're a doctor, a teacher, a mom, a dad, you know, how can you relate to what this boy went through? And I try to show in very concrete terms, how do you apply this algorithm? How do you apply these
mm, mm.
steps in small doses? And how do you make what's debatable, which is, oh, I don't know how to connect to a residential group kid, to relatable, which is
Knew you were going
I totally
relatable.
get it, right? I
Yes,
totally get it. Yeah.
but the beauty of all these, I want to say they're like artistic in, I always feel like artists move between things. You can't say they're one thing because they're always morphing and evolving and so you're, to me, you're like that person. And I'm trying to remember where I read it, the idea of genius being about curiosity but connected with dots that don't necessarily go together, and I would
Right.
call them like mashups. Like,
Yeah.
you've done so much work to test and be there right front and
Yeah.
center, and it is about life, and work as well as life, and life as well as work. And then finally, as we wrap up with this, what about
Yeah.
community? where
Oh,
where does that lie in? Yeah, I know you're building or have built
yep.
something
Yep.
that will bring together people even more and help them
Yep.
even more.
Yeah, we're building. We've got tons of communities started, but we want to build a big one called
Mhm,
the Core Communication Community, where people can come from all over the world and practice some of the tools that can help them access and activate meaning in their lives. Some of the
mm,
simplest, smallest things to get them started, and we want people to have that to increase the meaning they have in every interaction. And I think community, you said it. You know, we think that things aren't connected, but the reality is when I drop the bomb on what this thing really, really means, and I think I shown you the equation, I equals A times M to the power of three, I am three, right?
mhm. Yes.
Everything is connected. We
Yeah,
are connected. Our
yeah.
potential is inextricably linked. And
Wow.
so community is essential. And I talk about it in the book, right? I talk about
Mhm.
relationships, regulation, co-regulation, and resources. Well, that's
Yeah.
community. And communities with the right values and the right behaviors create the conditions to elevate human potential, to access and activate. But the unfortunate part, and I talk about this in the book, is some communities, whether it's a classroom, a boardroom, a living room, right,
Mhm.
or the game room, the locker room, is that unfortunately, when the three great states gets compromised in those communities, and they're done in unintentionally and unfortunately,
Mhm.
we hold back as humans. Our
Mm.
potential can't be accessed and activated. We're either hiding or holding back or slowing down or shutting down. So the idea of community is incredible, but what kind of community do we want to build that, get ready for this, that
Yeah.
provides connection, direction, and protection?
Oh my gosh. I love that, and I also want, the people who are watching this to know too, that the opportunities for those types of centers,
Mhm.
actual physical centers, I think will be very much evolving. And because I'm in the book world, um, I didn't tell you there's another wonderful, wonderful person. Her name's Tania Davis, and Tania has opened up a bookstore. And so there is that opportunity for a book tour. But beyond that, what she was sharing is there's a place where people can go and get trained to open up bookstores, because I think
Right.
these can be connection centers.
Yeah.
And she went, and that's helped her so much. The city of
Yeah.
Homewood gifted her
Yeah.
a $40,000 podcast studio for especially for teens in the
Yeah.
city.
Nice. I love
But
that.
this other center, or this other trainer that is out, there, teaching people how to open bookstores. There are 50 people who have bookstores who've signed up,
Yeah.
for new
Nice. Nice.
bookstores. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's where, I can see your book as part of the development of these
Yeah.
places
Well,
where.
and yeah, and Melissa, what I love about the book, and thank you so much for helping me bring it to life and
Mhm,
publishing it and being a good friend, and also a force, right? I just wanted, the what I like about having the book out there is there's so much in it. One of the big things I wanted to do is do those live in-person events. And I told Billy when we talked last time, I said, when he
mhm.
said, "Oh, the core four, that sounds, so profound." And the experience you have, what I want to do is give people the ability to be able to access somebody's core four in under 5 minutes. Now it
Yes.
sounds like it would take 30 years, but I'm seeing that after half a day, people can master this. And so it's not they have to have the whole book and all the 13 dimensions and understand all this stuff. It's like, here's the book, because you're gonna have an experience that when
Mhm.
you go home now you can read all about it. You
That's a
don't
good.
have to you don't
Mhm,
you don't have to, like, because one of the things that, I love about the book, and it was the first I did my first live event. I do lots of events. I talk to thousands of people a year, but it was my very first book event, not a core event, not a Brivia event.
okay.
And it was so exciting for me to feel the relief when people would come up to me and goes, "But tell me more about how the three great states is connected to our existential, like our spirit." And I'm like, "It's in chapter 4." Like, it's in chapter
Yeah,
4.
yeah,
I felt like, "Oh my God, I can sleep tonight." They actually they actually
wow.
don't need to call me or come
Mhm,
back. They can go home and flip through this, beautiful behemoth, of a
mm,
book, and find what they're looking for. Right. And to me,
I
that
love it.
I want to thank you for that, because that has helped me sleep at night thinking that those that do have the book
Yes.
have some of the answers that I would give them if we were together. Right.
And I love it, and the goal, and the goal that is a continuous goal is just what you just said, creating those opportunities. And now I got to go back and reread about Kyle, because each time I gain more. It is one of those interconnected,
Yeah.
fun mazes, if you will, to go, oh yeah, now I'm over here, and now I got this. But
Yeah.
yeah, if I had any wish today, it would be to be able to do that in 5 minutes, like you did with me. So I
Well,
would
you could. I
definitely.
told Billy too. I said, "Billy, if we ever in the same room, I'll show you how to do it." Right. And I
Yeah.
didn't know it at the time. But when you work with gang members and in the beginning, like I probably will never remember, I don't think, how scared I was. Like, really, like, for
Mhm.
many reasons. Scared
Yeah,
because they were vulnerable, scared because
right.
I didn't wanna make their lives worse, scared because they have histories of violence, and I think, one of the reasons why I think I was able to perfect some of this stuff, to be able to show it how to do it, is because I had to do it and learn it as fast as possible.
Mm,
Because when you can only be with somebody for 15 minutes, you've got to be as efficient as possible. You've got to
that's
know
right.
how to move through the different parts, right? So I'm
Mm,
excited to share it with people because you don't have to be with a gang member. You can be with your 12-year-old daughter. You don't have to be with a gang member. You can be with a squadron commander, or you can be with a teacher in the class, a student in the classroom. So
mhm,
I'm so excited because, I was told, Melissa, what I loved about you is, I was told a couple of things. They're like, Steve, first thing I'm like, I don't want to use case studies because, case studies take the reader away from their own experience. They said, you
mm,
can't do that. I'm like, Melissa doesn't want to hear about the single mom in Jersey with 4 kids. She can't relate, right? And neither would I as a male, right? And so I did. I said, I want to make the reader the research. I want to speak to them in the first five
mhm,
chapters. And the other thing they said is like, pick a lane, either do a leadership book or you do a parenting book or whatever. And I'm like, no, hitting 4 targets: leaders, teachers, parents, and coaches. Like, Steve, you can't do that. Well, guess what? Melissa, with your patience and your support, I did both those things. And I love that I hear people say, I could hear you talking to me, right?
oh,
In the first
that's
few chapters,
wonderful.
right?
That's what
Yeah.
you want, you are that type of not type, you are that person who really delivers, and when you meet one such person in life, you do wish that they had something that they could share with the multitudes of people out there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know, in tying all this up, where can people find the book? The one thing I do want to say is
Yeah.
if you're going to Canada, my understanding is that you can go into bookstores and actually get the book, which is really
Yeah.
great. Hopefully, in the States here,
Yeah.
in the US, I want to see that happen,
Yeah.
and there are, all kinds of opportunities for that, and of course on Amazon,
Yeah.
and and
So yeah, we're actually fixing
where
that
else?
because we have a lot of fans in the US. So Barnes
Yeah.
and Noble is going to be picking it up.
Oh, good.
Barnes and Noble, Indigo chapters, Amazon, of course, Amazon for sure.
Yes.
So soon, gettingtobetter.com is where
Yes.
people can go to learn about it. Because people say, "What do you want me to buy the book?" I said, "No, learn about it first. I don't want you to buy
Yeah.
anything you don't feel moved to buy for the sake
Yes.
of buying it."
Yes.
And so if they go to gettingtobetter.com, that's the place where they can read about it. They get a chapter for free. They can
Mhm.
see the people. Like, there's some great people. Like, this
Mhm.
book was, when I say took 15 years to validate it. Like, there
Mhm.
are incredible people. If they look at the list of people that are on that book page,
Mhm.
like people like the incomparable Michael Fullan, education juggernaut, wrote 68 books. Tim
Mhm.
Pitchell, the author of the Procrastination Puzzle, and other, was featured on Dan Harris. Good human being, incredible human being, but one of the best research psychologists, right? Dr. Kate Stone, a surgeon, like, F-35 pilots. We had people, Melissa, work with me to help validate this model. This wasn't a thought that I had in the
Mhm.
shower. This is, like I said, 30 years of developing, 15 years of validating with big hearts and big minds, and 5 years of writing. And
Wow.
that's what went into this one, right? It
It
wasn't it
is.
wasn't a small endeavor. Yeah.
It was not, and it is, so beautiful, useful, and it's just the beginning of getting to better and
Yeah.
getting better. Every day you can wake up and say, "I'm getting to better." It keeps giving back. It comes
Yeah.
back, gives forth,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
It's my
it's
favorite place to
right.
go. Like, better
Yeah.
is always better than the last place. So let's just keep pursuing it, right?
It is, it is. Well, thank you so much, and look forward to seeing this spread out all over. And for anyone who really wants to also reach out to you to look at, opportunities to bring you in
Yeah.
for speaking or
Yep.
um,
For sure.
sharing in any way.
Yeah.
LinkedIn is another good. Just look up
Yeah.
Stephen DeGroot,
Yeah, for
and
sure. And one of our models, Melissa, just to let you know before we sign
yeah.
off, is we're igniting the model that if I'm going to do a paid gig in a city, we've been doing parenting nights in the same city,
Oh, wow.
for free or for teachers. So one of our part of
Wow.
our it's not even a business model, it's just our way of giving back, that if
Mm.
people take the opportunity to pay for a keynote or a half day or
Mhm.
one day, we
Yeah.
wanna work with their community, partners to do something very valuable and significant for parents and teachers and leaders and
Wow.
coaches, in the evening. Yeah, so we're really excited about that, and we're really
Mm,
lots of people are taking us up on that, and we did a parenting evening, where there was, almost
mm.
400 people there.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that fills my heart, right? That helps me sleep at night because, those parents wouldn't have been able to get that kind of support, or that
Mhm.
kind of information, without going.
Wow.
Yeah, without somebody putting it on. Yeah.
Well, there's all my brain, my networking brain's going, "Oh, I think I got this."
Yeah.
Gives
Yeah.
me ideas. So
Yeah.
thank you, Stephen. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thanks for having me, and I look forward to making the world better with you.